I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. I'm going to go ahead and ask for approval of today's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda.
I will second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
This time, I will go ahead and ask for public comments. Anybody wishing to make public comment, let me know. Mark, come on up.
Okay, will do. Just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Mark Bushkamp. I'm the new executive director for the Iowa Falls Area Economic Development. Happy to be on board and happy to have a chance to come and sit here and listen in and find out a little bit more about the government of Hardin County.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Bushkamp.
We met yesterday.
Okay. Any other public comment this morning? Okay. Next, I'll go ahead and ask for approval of the minutes from the August 22nd, 2018 meeting.
Move to approve.
I will abstain. I was not here.
Okay, I'll second that. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next I have is the approval for claims for payment for August 29th, 2018.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims for payment for August 29th, 2018.
I will second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Next I have is utility permits and a secondary roads report. We'll address this. Utility permits first, please.
Make a motion to approve Hardin County utility permit application by Arion for the Arion for the purpose of boring and burying fiber along County Highway D25 from the Hardin-Hamilton County line east to County Highway S27, then south along S27 to County Highway D25, then continuing east as D25 becomes 170th Street and ending at 00 Avenue.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And I will make a motion to approve the Hardin County utility permit application by Arion for the purpose of boring and burying fiber along 00 Avenue from 170th Street south to County Highway D35, then east along County Highway D35 to County Highway S56, then north along County Highway S56 to 185th Street, then east on 185th Street to the Hardin-Grundy County line.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 I'll make a motion to approve Hardin County utility permit application by Midland Power Cooperative for the purpose of boring the road to replace overhead wire with underground at 29727 225th Street, Eldora, located in Section 1 of Pleasant Township.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. And I'll make a motion to approve Hardin County utility permit application by Midland Power Co-op for the purpose of boring in a new single-phase underground wire across the road and into a grain bin at 16650 County Highway D47, located in sections 11 and 14 of Sherman Township.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, I have consideration of fulfilling Iowa's need for dentist program applications. Last week, we heard from Dr. Bryn Johnson. Today, Dave Rubo brought another local dentist to present information on his application for the FINE program. Dave?
You want me to call them?
Place that call while Lance is working on the phone call. Joining us on the phone will be Sue Cosner. She's with the Iowa Area Development Group. They are the statewide liaison for the FINE program. They work together with the state of Iowa and Delta Dental in administering this program and helping the candidates with their community match fundraising, which totals $25,000 need from each candidate.
Hi, Sue. This is Lance at Hardin County. We are currently in the board meeting.
Okay.
BJ's the chair. Dave just talked about you a little bit here.
Okay.
And my name is Dave Rubo. I'm with the Eldora Industrial Development Corporation, and we are the local host committee helping Cale with his application and his fundraising efforts.
Do I need to give a little background?
Sure, if you'd like to, that would be fine, and then we can let Dr. Floyd continue his presentation.
Okay.
Is that okay?
My name is Sue Cosner. I am with Iowa Area Development Group. We are an economic development, business development group that works for the rural electric cooperatives, the independent telecom companies around the state, and about 60 municipal utilities. And we partner with Delta Dental of Iowa and the College of Dentistry at the University of Iowa and other colleges that we are able to find dentists willing to come into Iowa and practice. And we help those dentists who are willing to locate in rural Iowa with the Fulfilling Iowa's Need for Dentists program. And that is a debt repayment program for those students, those dentists coming out of school with school debt. And we are the community, essentially we're the community lifeline. We work with a lot of communities around the state, and so we open doors for those dentists, and that's what we've done with Dr. Floyd, and I'll answer any questions that anybody has.
That's good. All right, like she said, I'm Dr. Cale Floyd. I work here in Eldora with Dr. Anderson. I don't know if any of you know her. So a little bit about me. I went to school at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. That's where I got my Doctor of Dental Surgery degree. Recently we moved here in August of last year, bought a house. My son started first grade last year, started first grade this year. I have 2 kids, my older son Grayson and my daughter Brindley is 2.5. So, and married my high school sweetheart. It's been, this October will be 10 years. So that's a little bit background on me. I did grow up in a small town. At the time, there was just about 2,000 people in Stratford, Missouri, where we grew up, and I love the small town community. I did have family from Iowa, my mom's side of the family, and so we've visited up here quite a bit, and I knew that eventually I wanted to end up in a small town. I didn't know where. And then the opportunity to work with Dr. Anderson came about, and I thought, you know, this is a perfect opportunity to work in a small town. Also met the requirement of, you know, there's a lot of people in need. Sarah actually contacted me saying that she needed help, had too many patients coming in and just needed some backup. So I came in and I've kind of filled that role as kind of helping her out, and I've found that there's a very large need in this community. So that's kind of where we are today. So this is my mission. I want to provide the highest quality of care possible, and just kind of putting aside any social economic classes. So at the dental school, we saw a really high percentage of low economic social classes there, and that's where I kind of started to get interested in helping out those that couldn't really afford traditional dental care. So here's part of our team there at Anderson Family Dentistry. We actually have added 2 more, so we're kind of a growing office there. Yeah, so let's see. Located in Eldora, currently we are seeing over 35% of state-insured patients right now. We accept currently all the DWP, Medicaid, and MCNA. So this is kind of a little bit of my experience. So in school, I did some externships where I'd go to a public health office where they serve people in need. I did 2 of those. I did one was in Liberty, Missouri. The other one was St. Joseph, Missouri. And that's kind of where I really found my passion to kind of help those people that couldn't really afford the traditional dental care. And I also helped with a lot of children's events. And then, like I said before, 2 years of dental school, seeing patients was a really high need population. And that's primarily why they went to the dental school. It was a little bit cheaper, and they could get funding for that. So, and then here in Eldora, I've worked, now it's been over a year, and we've seen a high need So, and kind of as Sue kind of went over, this is the FIND program. It's fulfilling Iowa's need for dentists. So Delta Dental is the one that kind of started that program. They offer up to $75,000 to help pay student loans. The remaining $100,000 is what the quota is. So the remaining $25,000 is from the community, and what that does is it prevents us from getting this loan reimbursement and then leaving town after we've met the requirements. So us coming to you and asking, it makes it a lot more difficult to say, will you help fund this, and then for us to leave. You know, we have to get to know you and make sure that we're going to stay around. So that's kind of the reason why I'm here. According to the latest calculation right now, we're at I've raised around $12,000. So the main reason why I'm here is to maybe get the remaining $13,000. Not all of it at once, but you know, just to help kind of get the ball rolling on the remaining amount. And then the University of Iowa, I don't know if anyone's heard of this, they recently just dropped seeing new Medicaid patients. So that was a major area that would kind of help funnel those patients through, and now that they've kind of shut the doors just to being overwhelmed, we've seen a pretty big influx of people calling and trying to get an appointment. I've also been taking on a lot more oral surgery cases because there's not a lot of oral surgeons in the area or even in the state that really accept that insurance. So I've been trying to help with that a little bit, take the time and give people the treatment that they need. And we're currently accepting all state insurance patients, and every single person that we say, yes, we can get you in, they seem very grateful, and some drive 2+ hours away. We had a patient come from Bedford the other day. We've had Mason City. We've had just all over the state come in. So they're just desperate to find a provider that takes their insurance and can give them the treatment that they need. So so Mason City, Bedford, and Marshalltown, we've had quite a few from there. And so so I'm just asking for so this was originally whenever my original estimate was we had about 5,000, so we've gone up quite a bit, but I'm still looking for the remaining 13,000 to kind of get the final amount there. So any questions on that?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
I might add, if I can.
Yes.
Can everybody hear me? I want to stress the contribution made by Delta Dental, the state appropriation, which is $25,000, Delta's $50,000, and the community $25,000. That all goes over a 5-year period to not Dr. Floyd, but to his dead institution. So it runs through the Greater Des Moines Foundation. So that's how Dr. Floyd never sees that money. It goes directly to his dead institution over a 5-year period.
I was just going to make a comment in regards to the public health side of things. I think that we are fortunate that we have not just one, but 2 doctors that do take Medicaid, dentists that take Medicaid. I think he's being modest in the care that he's providing for these Medicaid people throughout the state, because there's very few dentists in the area that are actually taking Medicaid at all, and have 2 in our community. We really need to support and substantiate that. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kale.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions for Sue, or?
I don't know.
I don't.
I don't think so either, because I've heard the presentation previously
Yeah.
a couple of times, so.
A little
Okay.
different program than the one we had last week.
Right. If nobody else has anything for Sue, I'll go ahead and Did you have anything to add, Sue?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Well, maybe just quickly, we, our Iowa Area Development Group, we have our own foundation, and then we are the umbrella administration organization for 30 endowed Iowa community foundations. And one of the things we did about 3 years ago is to help seed and to get things started locally. We put $1,000 toward each of the applicants we're working with, and then we ask our utility clients to match that. And so We have put in $4,000. Iowa Area Development Community Foundation, Heart of Iowa Communications matched that. Midland Power, I believe, has matched that. I think I saw a letter this morning. And then Arion, Iowa Network Services, which is a company that Heart of Iowa has shareholder stock in, has matched that. So we have been able to bring $4,000 to the table for the community match.
Is that 4,000? Is that 4,000? Is that overall, or is that annually?
No, that's seed money. That's just
Okay.
a one-time in money.
Okay.
So I think that's inside of what Kill was referring to as this 12,000.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Sue. I appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.
Okay, that would bring us to the consideration of the applications that have been brought forth before the board last week and this week.
Is there a request for a dollar amount?
Not a specific,
Okay.
just, you know, whatever party you could, you know, contribute.
Well, I think this is a perfect use of our economic development funding. I don't know what dollar amount anybody else has in mind, but I think that's where this needs to be funded from. And I'm open for suggestions on the dollar amount.
Well, when we're looking at these, they're two different scenarios. One was a one-time pledge, and this one would be a course of 5 years.
I think they all operate the same, right?
Okay.
It's the same program, yes.
And the other one needed a total of $5,000, where this one you needed 20.
No, so the first year you need 5,000.
Okay.
And then each year you need, or they say you can raise up to 5,000. So the first year, to get your application even seen by the committee, you have to have a minimum of 5,000 community match. Then after that, it's up to the community if they want to contribute to the max of 25,000 to put the total at 100 as far as the loan reimbursement.
The application looks stronger the greater amount of pre-funding that they have. So if you raise your first year 5,000, but you don't raise your second year, then you don't get the money from the incremental payment from Delta Dental or from the state of Iowa fund. So every year you have to meet that match of $5,000 that the program is intact.
Okay.
Now, Dave, remind me, and I think I have this correct, but not positive. So we have 2 applicants from Hardin County,
Correct.
and there's others from across the state. And we could pledge money, but only one applicant gets drawn or gets approved to go on?
It's a competitive application process, and there will be a total of 5 chosen this year. And so if, right now, it is just making a commitment to the program. If the application doesn't happen to be approved, then there are no payments made,
Okay.
and they are eligible to then reapply for a subsequent year.
Okay, so that it's 5.
5
Okay.
total across the state.
That's
will be
right.
approved.
Okay. And this could be, we could approve this to be a lump sum payment in the beginning, or we could say so much a year, however we want to, correct?
Most of them are over a 5-year period, so that you participate along with all the rest of the community entities. And right now, our largest single donor is $5,000, $1,000 a year for 5 years. And that is, just for consideration for an annual amount or something in that that area.
Okay. And when is it that you have to have this money raised by for this year's?
So this one is September 1st. This one, the 5,000 is required. So
Oh, the 5,000.
Yeah, so,
Just the
so
5,000.
this,
So
yeah, so
we-
this is.
Yep,
more-
so
more
you've got that for,
future.
yep,
Mhm.
okay.
Ideas, I'm open to anything. Donna had a question.
Yes, Donna.
Actually, it was just a thought. Whichever way you decide to go, whether you go with him or with her or with both of them, you might want to keep in mind that you could be talking about an annual 5-year commitment rather
Yeah.
than lump sum now.
Right.
It
Right.
might be more helpful to give less now and give it annually.
I'm open to anything.
am too.
1,500 sounds like a good first year commitment,
Okay.
and I don't know if we want to go more or not. I think that's what the previous one was asking for to get to the 5,000.
And I would prefer to look at this on an annual basis to see where we're at fiscally in the lost funds going forward and look at it renewing it annually. But up front, I believe that the email that we received is the financial commitment does look very strong, along with the letters of community support and the established practice. So I would consider a higher amount. I understand Donna's point, but
You want them to get the application.
right, I want to get through that first phase, and so I would lean towards a higher amount up front and then evaluate year to year as to what the county can contribute from those economic development funds going forward. Julie?
Okay, I wanted, I'm curious, how will this be funded? Is this coming out of lost? Is this coming out of the general fund?
Local option
This
sales
way.
tax.
What?
Local option sales tax. And we have 10% of that currently that goes to economic
It'll come out of
development.
that 10%.
Right, and the fund balance as of a week ago was $123,000.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that
Yep.
I knew where the funds were coming from.
Yep.
Currently, that's what's proposed.
Okay, but,
It hasn't been decided yet, but that's what's being
right,
proposed.
if that should happen, so then, okay. But are you still looking at increasing the
Okay. So,
Dave, when you talked about that, you looked at the 5-year commitment. Do they also look at that on the applications if we were only doing a 1-year commitment?
There really isn't a 1-year commitment for this program. If your intention isn't to raise the entire 25 and go through the entire program, that's not defined in the program. It's a 5-year program with a $25,000 goal. Now, if you don't happen to meet that, then you are dropped from the program.
And currently, you've got the 12,000, so he's got his first year, he's got his commitment to get into the program. It would just be, that we would be committing money.
And those could be spread over subsequent years. So
Correct.
if you were, looking at possibly doing a first year commitment and then reevaluating that or looking at that each year for an amount, we could shift those earlier ones into subsequent years
Right.
and use the whatever amount you would approve for this year.
So if we committed, say, $5,000, we wouldn't really need to give that to him until say, the third year of the program if he's accepted into the program. Is that, or whatever, whenever he needs it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I was understanding you were discussing was a one-year commitment right now and then looking at it in subsequent years. So what monies we already have could be shifted into
later years.
Later years, and
Okay.
Whatever amount you would approve for this year would be utilized in the initial $5,000
Okay.
commitment. There's no requirement that you dedicate what year you're giving in. It's just a total of $25,000
Okay.
over 5 years.
Well, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I think we're foolish not to contribute.
Yeah.
Correct.
And 5,000 would be a good number over the course of 5 years for the one-time commitment, 5,000 up front and total. But if you're trying to break it down into the years, go with the lower number as indicated,
Right.
and then reevaluate every year.
I think just for their purposes and the ease of everything, I would prefer to just make the commitment and do it over the 5 years.
Okay? And
So
what-
I could see, like, if we did the 5,000 and it would be 1,000 each year.
Right.
Okay. Would you
And
like
do
to make a
that for,
motion?
okay, I will make a motion to approve $5,000 of funding to the applicants for fulfilling Iowa's need for dentist program. That would be $1,000 a year over 5 years.
Is that per applicant? Per total?
I believe per applicant.
I just want to make your motion
Okay.
clear.
That's what I think is what, yeah, that's what I think I said per
Yep.
applicant, okay.
Or the applicants. Okay.
Mhm.
I will second that.
Okay.
Could you speak up, Lance, please? It's hard to hear you.
My question was it per applicant?
Yeah, and then, but I didn't hear the answer.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
The answer was yes, it was per applicant.
Oh,
And then I seconded.
oh.
Okay, I have a motion and a second discussion. Would you like to allow both applicants to apply the funding? So I'm looking at Dr. Johnson's commitment form. Hers says, if Dr. Johnson is selected as a recipient for the $100,000 loan repayment award, I will pledge blank towards her $5,000 goal to be collected between November 1st and December 1st of 2018. So, and if Cale would like to apply his 5,000 over the course of 5 years, Dr. Johnson may feel that her application may be stronger with the $5,000 up front. Because you're already in the program, correct, Cale?
I've not been approved yet.
Okay.
We're actually both in the
That's-
same application cycle.
Right.
Okay.
But she also has enough funding to get in for the first year.
No, not
She
yet.
needed 2,500.
Yes.
For,
Yeah,
Yes.
she has about half raise right now.
oh, I thought she had enough for the first year.
Why don't we call for the vote, and we can always make a new motion.
Okay. Okay.
I can't hear.
Okay.
I'm asking to call for the vote so a
Okay.
new motion can be made.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are we going to set a limit on how many you go for, or just anybody who shows up?
When you look at this, you have to qualify to even get in. There's a series of things that they have to qualify, and then once the needs are met in our county, no one will no longer be eligible in our county once the positions have been filled.
How many positions in the county?
Until this group decides that
there's an assessment every year on a need basis in every county determining what need that you have. A large part of Iowa is in this.
Mostly in the
need
rural areas.
area, including Hardin County. We will be somewhat unique that we would have 2 practicing and potentially a 3rd practicing, and that may affect, the need basis for Hardin County.
But again, there's only 5 in the state
Only
of
5 are
Iowa that will
given
get
every
this.
year.
These are pledges. We're not just giving the money. They have to be
It's a
accepted.
competitive process, a competitive application process to be awarded this.
So theoretically speaking, we could have 1 for a 5-year period.
We
Or
could have
We could have 2.
we could have
This
We
year.
could
0.
have 4 or 5 over a 5-year period. Is that correct?
But there's only 5 approved
Annually.
throughout the entire state.
Right, annually. But if both of these are approved this year, then comes next year a 3rd. the
Could
next
very well.
year, a
Could very well
4th.
be.
There could be. And I think that consideration ought to be looked at too.
It's just.
In other words, don't put all your eggs in one
It's statistically
basket.
not.
Right.
Not gonna happen.
A real,
The chances of getting
Chance that
5
could happen.
approved here in 1 year,
or any number of years.
so,
would be-
yeah.
Kind of what Dave was saying is I think if so many were approved here, then I think the need for this county would then
Would go down.
not be as critical, once there's 5 committed dentists to kind of helping that. So, from my understanding, they haven't yet approved 2 candidates from the same county. It's been pretty spread out. So and from him saying it's pretty competitive, if there's 2 in a county, I mean, they haven't said for sure, but most likely it'd just be 1 candidate would be approved, maybe this cycle.
If we even get 1.
Yeah, because last number I heard there was 7 applying, and that was earlier in the year, so I don't know how many, if more have joined or not, so.
Okay.
At minimum, there's at least 7 applying for these 5 slots, 2 of which are in the same county. It'd be pretty hard pressed to get both.
And if you look at the numbers, if Hale was awarded this grant, he had committed to 35% of his practice for the underserved. And now if we have a second one, which we currently have a dentist in town with these credentials through this program, and if you are up to 70% underserved being done, and if a 1/3 is approved, then you would be nearing
Right.
a very large portion of the underserved population.
Right.
I have a question in regards to, let's say only 1 candidate is chosen. Would you then take your pledge money and put that since you have 2 on the table, would you put that towards 1 pledge if 1 is accepted?
I think that'd be something worth definitely considering down the road, depending on how the application process pans out. I think it's probably unique to have 2 candidates in 1 county applying
And I'd like
to
to see
begin
us,
with.
if we can afford it, support that all of the
Right.
funding that you were going to pledge into that 1
Right.
candidate.
Yeah, we'd have to think about that, talk about that,
Right.
if that happens.
I have a question. You talked about an assessment each year of the need.
Yes.
Finding the need. How is that assessment figured? I was just curious. I know there's a real need, but I was just curious how the assessment is done. How it's.
I will look through I know that's probably a question for Sue. She's the technical person who's no longer on the phone, but I believe I have a printout here of the overall assessment for the state. I'll share that with you after the meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a vote so we can
Move along.
Move along, yes. So, Nancy?
Nay.
Nay.
No. So I think we need to revisit, you know, how the
structure.
The structure.
I'll make a motion for Kales for a $1,000 commitment for a 5-year commitment, totaling $5,000.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Pauline did
Pauline.
have a question.
I guess we couldn't hear Becky. What was the motion on the floor that you were voting on? The first one?
This motion was to provide Kale $1,000.
How much?
$1,000 over the course of 5 years.
I think she was referring to the first motion that you voted down.
The first was,
For both at $1,000 a year.
Right.
That we voted down.
Over the 5-year period.
over 5 years. Okay.
So we're doing them individually then, instead of all together.
Okay. Would you guys like to consider Dr. Johnson's application?
Her request was for $1,500 to get her into the money needed. She needed $25,000, but somebody else was already committing a match.
Okay.
I believe we should equal the same amount of commitment. But I also believe that we should at least get her to her startup, which would be the $1,500, and then you could do a 1,500, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and then a 500 for the
Okay.
last year.
All right. You want to make a motion?
So I'll make a motion for Dr. Johnson's to be a $1,500 commitment for the first year, followed by 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and 500.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Next item I have is an update from NRP. Ronnie Mullins had something come up this morning, and he just left me the information regarding Pauline, your inquiry about the dog food factory. He wanted me to make sure that it was known that there was an initial $5 million investment by NRP. Currently, they've invested over $13 million in their facility. In the TIF agreement, the employees promised had to remain at 15, and they currently employ 30 people and looking to hire 2 additional people in coming weeks. Ronnie also thought it was important to let the public know that their starting wage is $13.45 an hour. Their high-end hourly employees make $25.18 an hour, and their average employee makes $16.55 an hour. So he wanted to make sure it was clear that there was not $1 million contribution to NRP. If somebody did want to make that contribution, they would definitely invest it and continue to grow their business. So does that answer some of the questions you may have had about NRP, Pauline?
Yes, I spoke with Lance afterwards.
Okay.
And we got that straightened out.
Okay. Next I have is a couple changes of status with Conservation Department.
Yes. And then seasonals are done and back to college. And then there was one little bump for one employee.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the employee change of status for Nathan Pauley, effective August 23rd, 2018. His salary rate was $10 an hour, and he was temporary seasonal part-time, and it is the end of seasonal employment for him.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 I'll make a motion to approve the second one as of August 22nd, 2018. Blaine Becker, salary or hourly rate was $11 an hour. Also a temporary seasonal part-time employee that is its end of seasonal employment.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Another one for Daniel Schurer.
Sure, yeah, sure.
Okay. Effective August 23rd, 2018, he was a Calkins intern. He was temporary seasonal part-time help at $10 an hour, and it's the end of seasonal employment for him.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And the last one is, I will make a motion to approve the change of status for Cody Barloon, effective 9/1 of 18. He's a natural resource tech. His salary hourly rate or salary rate is $36,000 annually. And it's requested a pay increase of $771 that conservation will take from within their current county budget.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And Wes, while you're here, you have a good crowd today. Do you want to announce your event coming up?
Yes, October 20th will be the grand opening of the new museum addition and Native American artifact collection at Calkins. They're going to have a biscuits and gravy breakfast at the Nature Center. They're doing a Barlow challenge for a new roof on the Nature Center. So they're kind of doing that in conjunction with the grand opening. I apologize, I don't know the hours. I know they're having it, I think it's starting at least at 8 o'clock in the morning for the breakfast, of course. And then the grand opening will be all throughout the day. So.
All right. Thank you, Wes. The next thing on the agenda this morning is discussion on the Veterans Affairs van acquisition. We have Bernie Kierson, our VA coordinator, and I know Julie Town has been in the discussions with this as well.
Well, Julie and I have kind of formed a partnership. It's been my goal for about the last year to try to acquire a van. I discovered that the VA hospital in Des Moines has a division called Special Services, and they lease vans to counties for $3,000 a year, which includes all gas and maintenance, which is a heck of a deal. I'm also working separately with 3 area auto dealerships to try to get a donated van. Blackhawk County has a van donated by Dick Witham Ford. So I've talked to 3 dealerships here. I got interest out of potentially 1 for a van in January. And that would be a free van. I don't have any money in a budget for a van, but the deal with Julie is that it's my job to get the van, it's Julie's job to fund the van and then to manage the drivers. So that's kind of the partnership that we formed here. I'm the van getter, and she's the van funder and manager.
Okay. So I understand that, would there be any conflict in utilizing the van for non-veteran personnel?
As long as I didn't have a need
Okay.
for our veterans, I see no problem.
So the prioritization would be for VA patients?
Right.
Okay. And then, Julie, we discussed you have been developing a transportation policy since this is a new endeavor for Greenbelt Home Care, correct?
Correct. So we actually purchased a wheelchair accessible van, because I'm not sure if the VA van will be wheelchair accessible. So we do have that as like our backup van. But we're working on current policy and figuring out staffing and partnerships with probably not just be all Greenbelt employees. There'll probably be maybe even some city employees that work 24 hours a day that would be able to to assist in the event of a vet was taken by ambulance to the hospital, was not admitted to the hospital, sits at the ER, how does that vet get home? How do anybody get home? You know, so I met with the CEO, Doug Morse, and he's running into this problem as well. So we would have at least a van or transportation accessible to go pick up that person from the ER to get them back home safely. We don't have that in Hardin County right now. Even families that want to get to their dental appointments, some of them don't have transportation to get to their dental appointments. Elderly that don't drive, that live home alone, Greenbelt patients, don't have a way to get to their doctor's appointments, just to get their regular medication. So we're just figuring out all these areas and how we can fit that need with the van.
Right. And I think it's a real positive partnership between the VA and Julie to try to. There's a really lack of public transportation for the underserved community in Hardin County. And this will go a long way to solving that problem.
And you have checked with the VA to make sure that it's okay to use their van for other purposes? Okay.
Okay.
And they're going to pay for the gas to do that?
Yeah, they're going to pay for the gas for what it's used for the VA.
For the VA.
Oh.
So we need to figure out proper, how do we charge for this? How do we come up with a sliding fee scale for indigent care, emergency use? How do we fundraise so that we have funding put together for gas, for a driver? So there's a lot of variables that we're still working on. I think it's coming along faster than we probably thought, which is a good thing.
Right.
It's moving along, but we want to make sure we have everything in place before we wheel out this program. Who do we call? Who's going to be the scheduler? I think it'll be us, but we want to make sure that we have all those pieces to this transition.
So it'll just be a thing of keeping track of mileage on what you're using it for, I suppose.
Was this a private, was this a Medicare,
Yep.
was it a CDAC? There's, you know, there's waiver programs out there that we can get reimbursed for to help with grocery shopping, with doctor's appointments.
It's a great deal, I mean, because
It's a great deal. And it's been a great
that way it's
partnership.
not only for veterans and then it has to sit.
The van I'm trying to get is a 7-passenger non-wheelchair, so a regular passenger van. I think that they would get quite a bit of use.
Okay.
I agree.
So the next step, Bernie, would that be getting some type of agreement from the federal government at the VA?
The next step is probably for the VA to say they have a van for us.
Okay.
The van works at the speed of molasses.
In January.
Yeah, they're just slower than just slow. But I'm still hopeful we may have a van within a couple of months. I filled out all the paperwork. I've got that submitted to the VA. And I know of other counties have gotten vans from them. So I'm hopeful to have one here by the end of the year. If not, then I've got dealerships that I may be able to get a free van from.
Okay. And Julie, from your end, would this just need to go to the Greenbelt board?
Correct.
Okay.
With all the policies and details in place.
Okay. All right.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So we can just expect update. Both of you let us know.
I'll send out emails. Like everybody's email. I'll keep you updated as things happen.
All right. Thank you both. I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Okay. The next item I have is the consideration of the resolution proposal for a public measure initiative for lost fund allocation.
This is something we've been talking about all month. Again, I'm not the one that originally asked to have anything put on, but if I was to do something, I would look at the maintenance and repair construction Hardin County secondary roads, bridges, drainage structures, excluding labor, equipment, and tools. Meaning that the people in the rural services that have the tax relief, I would take the money from that portion of the tax relief and then put it back to the roads. Also meaning that if they vote on this and decide this, the unincorporated areas, their taxes may go up in the same process. The question's theirs. Do they want to potentially pay more for taxes to get more
rock
bridges or drainage structures fixed in a faster manner? We're already at 100%. We cannot give any more to secondary roads
right
from the state.
or from county funds.
So Taylor, you did some homework and you got us some good data on what other counties across Iowa are doing. Do you want to give us like a brief synopsis of?
So I had 32 counties respond. 23 got some form of the lost funds. 9 said no. Let's see, 12 of those 23 were over 50%, and 6 of them were 100% of the lost funds. All into that. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, we know we're governed by the state, that we can't get any more, but prices keep going up. So it's, do people want the care they're getting for the roads now, or do they want it to be better? That's up to them.
You, last year you opened up how many bridges by doing pylons?
3.
Just 3?
We're doing 3 more this winter.
And how much per bridge is that?
Those were 60 grand.
60,000 a bridge.
Yep.
Got us 3 bridges. With this money, we could utilize that and get more bridges going at a more rapid
As many
rate
as the company can handle, yeah.
to bring them up to speed or up to full capacity, correct?
Yeah. Those, they give them about a 20-year lifespan. There's a couple of them they surveyed where the stream's small enough that it'd be cheaper to just replace it too, so.
Replace it with a culvert or?
Culvert.
Yep.
Yeah, and that gets you 75 to 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
Any comments?
No, I appreciate getting the information
me
because
too.
it was very interesting to see other counties that have taken, up to the whole 100% for bridges, for construction only, for roads and bridges, bridges and culverts. I think that's pretty interesting that there are some counties that have committed a lot to trying to get at least even with the use versus out of service bridges and roads. So.
And I know Lance has definitely mentioned he's gotten phone calls. I have been contacted a couple of times also where people are just complaining they need more rock, and with receiving as much as we can out of the general fund and rural services fund for the engineer at the max, this is about the only other way we have to go. And yes, I know the effects of taking it away from property tax relief, but this gives people the option to vote on whether they want this money put more towards rock, bridges, whatever, versus that property tax relief. It would just be
your choice every year.
Yes.
How that money's spent.
The board's choice after it's allocated, but it can only be spent on these items.
Right. Roads, bridges, drainage. Mm-hmm.
Good.
Julie?
So, is it, would the county put a tax per head of log, or would that be state policy? Because
That would be
we
state.
know where a lot of the,
We can't do that, Julie.
well, I'm just asking
Yeah.
because we know where a lot of the damage is.
The damage on the roads is from the Hardin Fund.
Yeah.
So,
The trucks that,
yeah, no, we can't do that.
So,
I do have a question. I know years ago there was a plan, a 5-year plan at that time to pave different roads. Because, at the time I was working and I was on the board out of Hawkins and Jim Johnson was the supervisor. And there was a 5-year plan to pave that road past Hawkins. And it got pushed back 2 years while I was still on the board. And then it just nothing ever happened after that.
So is there some kind of a plan to pave roads around Hardin County?
Taylor?
Yeah, we do have a county 5-year plan, so when I took over, Calkins Road was no longer on that 5-year plan.
So how
So
did
as
it
of
get
right now,
dropped?
I don't know. I mean, it's what, 2.5 miles, so it's hard. Right now, we really can't even keep up with the pavement we got. So whenever somebody asks me to pave a road, I'm always like, I don't know if we can't afford to keep up with what we got, how can you justify putting more in it?
Well, you know, I was just curious because, you know, I know that it was on the plan for several years. And then it just seemed to get dropped. And I know we talked as a board if it would be very beneficial to Hawkins to have that road paved. Because there's tour buses and stuff are not gonna drive out there on that road. They just won't.
We did talk, had
Or
Wes
that
contact
leads to
the
another
tour
problem.
buses, and by calcium chloriding that road, Wes told us the tour buses would go down there. It was a dust issue.
Well, whatever, I mean, it's still, the dust, whatever, it's still, they're not gonna come down that road because it's not paved.
There are other options that you could also look at paving from a different direction on that road. And with the rail park being an idea yet, if we were to pave a road as according to what their plans were, sounds great, but you might tear some of it back out. We don't know what's going to happen in that area. If other roads need to be rerouted past the armory coming in for truck traffic that way. The other option was a 5-year plan sounds great, but if you don't have the money to pay for it, it's really tough to keep it in a plan.
I realize that.
I mean, I don't mean to give false,
plans.
yeah, I don't mean to give false hope to people,
No.
and I'm never the one that did that. But to say you're going to pave a road and not have funding to pave it doesn't make sense either.
No, well.
And along with that, they had a bike trail that went along with that plan,
Yeah.
and that expired as well. But it sounded great to have a bike trail, but we didn't have the right way to do it.
Well, yeah, I know. And you know what a
So
plan
it's everything
is,
that
is
considers
a
into
plan.
that.
It's nothing that's set in stone.
Right.
It's
Right,
a guideline. I
right.
realize that, but it's just kind of disheartening to, you know, go on for years, you know, this 5-year plan, and hopefully you're gonna get this road paved, and then bam, all of a sudden it's just dropped, so you do have a 5-year plan. for
Yeah,
paving
but it
roads.
hasn't been on that since I started, so I don't know when it got taken on.
But I mean, there is a 5-year
Yeah.
plan for paving roads.
Yep, we have one each year for all 5 years, I think.
Okay.
Some stretch of road.
Julie or Donna? Okay, Donna.
When this discussion first started some weeks ago, someone said that the lost funds, the rural lost funds, part of it goes to fairground upkeep, the library, the recycling center, and some is already transferred to secondary roads.
None of it.
None of it.
That's
For
rural
any
basic.
That
of
was
those
that was
things?
rural services
Rural
fund.
services.
You're right, that was rural services fund. Yes. And where do rural services fund come from?
Unincorporated areas.
The lost fund?
No.
No,
Just your property.
the rural fund levy.
Okay.
Can I please have the floor for just-
Absolutely, Miss Lara.
Can I draw on the board with a marker?
Can you shrink this down?
So these ones have 0%. They just not give it. They just not give it.
Or they didn't
Or they
respond.
didn't. So this is the 33.
No, I'm trying to
The
check.
32 that he was
Yeah.
talking
And then he put this together kind of as a sample, what a property tax in.
I don't have a problem with percentages either, so I don't
No, I know.
really have a recommendation, I don't think. I'm open for discussion on that.
to. Just be all the ones that he shared.
Or they replied, yeah.
So he just sends them out to every.
I think he utilized his professional, well, I think they've got like their engineers.
Engineers
listserv,
website.
Yeah.
three big differences. I mean, you've got like Lynn and Woodbury counties on here, and Dubuque, and then you've got some rural ones too, so it's a good mix of
The comparatives are, the sample's wide.
urban and rural counties.
Yeah.
All right, we got there. You might have to help me, I've never drawn on here. So, yep, just start writing it. I made it right. There you go.
So here's a bucket. Bear with me. I'm not an artist. So here's lost dollars, okay? Money all goes in there, and then it's up to the county or the city what they want to do with that money. Now, is that rural and a community?
I'll get there.
I promise. So right now for Hardin County, this is not the cities, 80% goes to rural tax relief. Okay, 10% goes to community betterment and economic development. We'll just call it economic development. That's what they were talking about with the dentist earlier. The other 10% is capital projects. That is Hardin County. If you go to each of the cities has their own use for their own local option sales tax dollars. When I said a couple weeks ago when I was talking about rural services, that's a specific fund within the county. And that fund itself, this is a bucket again, like I said. That bucket of rural services funds the fairgrounds, the libraries for rural residents, the transfer to secondary roads to do their work, among the other things that I said.
Sheriffs.
Sheriff for contract law enforcement. Okay, every year I gotta fill this bucket to fill the needs of the county. What I was trying to say at different points in conversation and also in the newspaper, which didn't necessarily come across very nice, is that if this bucket gets down to here, and then we take some money from here, 80% and jump into here, that means it brings it up to here, and then I only tax this much to the taxpayer, the property tax owner. So if you're talking about changing this, what it's gonna do is I might start here, I don't get this fill anymore from local option sales tax, or if there is a fill, it'll be less. And then the rest of whatever it is needs to go to the taxpayer. So when I said you want higher taxes, this is what I meant. And all of this money, like I said, is what already funds those other things that I referred to. But local option sales tax dollars themselves are not just given to secondary roads to do their job. They're not just given to any one department to do whatever. They're used as backfill to fill up the bucket, and then it tells me how much I have to tax the taxpayer. If it's a bad year and my bucket starts down here and property tax relief comes in about here, still a bad year for the taxpayer, I guess, because I gotta tax that much. If property tax relief came in and it filled it up to here, well gosh, the rural residents are gonna be thinking I'm the best person ever because then I only tax them this much. It all comes down to how much is in that bucket when I go to figure out taxes for the year. Does that make sense?
Yes, I have a question. Does
Okay.
that hold true then for incorporated areas?
Again, I only deal with the county. I'm not incorporated, okay?
Well, okay,
But
maybe I asked
each-
the question.
No, that's okay, but each one of them has their own statute that, or ordinance, or whatever it is that they do that tells how they spend their local option sales tax.
So county has
Right.
no control
So
over that.
if you go to Iowa Falls, I don't know off the top of my head what theirs is, but if they had a property tax relief component, that means me as a city taxpayer, I would benefit some from that by having lower property taxes. They wouldn't have to tax me as much to fill their general bucket.
So what do communities do with their lost?
You can go upstairs and look at
Each.
in my election books. Yeah.
The mayor, we've got two mayors here.
What does Radcliffe
Radcliffe
do?
is all capital projects. And
Yeah.
I don't know if they've ever really used it, so it's sitting there still.
That
You're waiting
every
for the big one.
community had the opportunity to subscribe to this, and then if they did, they had to lay out specific uses of it. Each community is gonna be different. I'm only explaining what Hardin County is, and the only parts of Hardin County I'm allowed to use this for is the unincorporated, because the incorporated, those are the cities, they dictate where their money goes. So I can't necessarily just say this is good, bad, or otherwise, but when I was trying to say it's a higher tax to put on the rural people, I was looking at it from the perspective of, I gotta fill this bucket regardless, okay? So if they take away a portion of it that I'm used to seeing come in and filling that bucket, it just means I'm starting out down here. I know I still have to have a full bucket to make all my needs met, the transfer to secondary roads, the libraries, the fairgrounds, the contract law enforcement, the solid waste recycling for the rural people. That just means this much is going to be paid by the taxpayer now, instead of property tax relief filling in that bucket for them.
Can cities hold over their from year to year?
Yeah. It's kind of like our economic development one. We don't have to spend that ever. We can hold on to it for 20 years and then spend it in one big lump sum. We can divvy out a little bit here and there as we want. But when we say economic
do you want to address
development,
anything?
they put that in a special place that they can dip into whenever they believe that it's in the economic development interests of the county to spend it. And today you saw them give it to the dentist that requested it, the two dentists that requested it because they felt that was developing the better economies in our county. So I just, like I said, I wanted to demonstrate visually because I stand behind what I say when I say it, but sometimes I come across snarky and I don't necessarily mean that.
Well,
So-
a lot of us don't
So this is what
understand
it is.
this. That's why we're glad you do.
Can you hold over corporate project money then too?
This capital projects,
Or capital
we
projects?
could, but
that's
we blow through it every year.
How come?
Oh, we have lots of capital projects.
Okay.
That's not all accurate. When I came on, it was at $880,000 being held over.
But
Eight
we've
years
blown
ago.
through it.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have, but it does not every year. It has been built up and then pulled back down again. But at that time, it was also coming in at 25% instead of 10%, which is a lot larger amount coming in every year. And now it's down to 10%, with
Which
10% going to economic development.
Which is the flip side of why I was concerned. I mean, like, I was concerned when that went away. You know, we're making do. Life goes on. I'm concerned losing the property tax relief portion. That's what fueled my comments. And like I said, I never meant them to be snarky, so I guess this is my way of foraying into a formal apology if you received any backlash on behalf of my comments. You know,
So ridiculous isn't a ridiculous idea.
no, I still think it's ridiculous, but that's my humble opinion.
But you haven't gotten the phone calls either that we get
I did not.
saying that they would pay more taxes if they could get
Right.
more gravel.
Right.
So
But
you're not aware of
You don't get
those.
the phone calls either when the taxpayer gets his tax bill and
Yeah.
says, what the hell are you doing with my tax rates and why do I have to keep paying the county more when I could move to Grundy or Franklin or Story and pay lower tax rates? I get those phone calls and Michelle gets those phone calls. And when I saw it and when it was proposed to me that the tax relief was gonna possibly go away, not even have any tax relief, I was like, oh my God,
Oh, I
you're
don't-
talking multiple dollars worth.
I don't think we
Per
ever
dollar-
mentioned
per
taking it
thousand
all
dollar
away.
Nobody proposed zero.
No, we never proposed that.
There was no proposal, there was discussion, and I was not present.
Right.
So you have to understand, what I said is, it got back to me that there was discussion that it could go away entirely. Nobody had set anything in stone, so when I was asked, I still stand by, I think it's ridiculous, but it's not for me, it's for the voters.
Right.
The part that I'm sorry for is when I said that there was a lack of understanding. I think that you have an understanding of issues in the county that involve secondary roads. I think that you want to do better on the part of that. I just don't think this is the way to do it, and that's what my comments were. And immediately, I spoke to Blackhawk County Auditor, and he said that they do use local option sales tax to do secondary road type activities, bridges and roads. But theirs is not just stockpiling rock and things like that. They actually bonded for specific projects, and then they use local option sales tax dollars
to pay the
fund
GOB
that.
bonds off.
Exactly. And the moment I knew that, I forwarded it to the newspaper and Sarah Conrad, because I said, I want you to be aware of the fact that there are counties that do this. I wasn't trying to make it one-sided, like Jessica says, this is the only way to rule the world.
The other comment in there, and it was kind of misleading, you did explain a lot of it, but it was misleading, making it sound that this would affect cities' taxes. They're 1%.
I never said city taxes.
You said it was all people, so if you read that, it could be misleading.
I think maybe we should get the article then, because I'm tired of taking the fall for people that can misinterpret anything that's said. Okay?
Hey, I'm just laying it out there.
I said rural residents, and if you want higher taxes, vote yes. That's what I said.
And you had other comments in there too.
I'm not gonna play a dance. I'm tired.
I'm
of
not
being
trying to
called out
play.
in this county.
But being miffed.
Goodbye.
All right. Let's bring it back to center here.
Okay, so I still had questions.
Yep, go ahead. Pauline, you'll follow Donna, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I think there needs to be some clarification. I've talked to a lot of people over the last 2 or 3 weeks. There needs to be some clarification on what are secondary roads. Where can you go in this county and not go on secondary roads? Do you?
Iowa Falls to Eldora.
Yep.
You can also hit
That's state.
Radcliffe
That's state.
and you can hit Hubbard. That's
Right.
it. Every other town in this county must use secondary roads. And I would be willing to bet that every resident in this county makes, at the very minimum, weekly use of secondary roads. I would think it would not be a bad idea to look to these communities and say, will you contribute?
They do.
They do.
They
City of
contribute
Radcliffe
through the
capital
general
projects.
fund. What?
Are you talking the incorporated areas?
Yes.
They
Like-
pay the general fund levy. The county, they pay, city residents pay the general fund county levy. And we transfer so many dollars from the general fund to secondary roads.
16 cents per $1,000 a day.
That's it?
Rural, I get $3.
I can give you the totals after the meeting.
Yeah. But yeah, general, I only get
$3 per thousand for
For
rural
rural.
and 16 cents per thousand.
for
For-
everything.
It's the legislature that has imposed those limits
Yeah, and that
on
is
what
the
we can
max that I
transfer.
get.
Could communities not buy gravel and give it to you?
Well, they
Yeah.
could, but they don't have
City
the
of
money
Radcliffe,
either.
Yeah, no.
Mayor Dunn, would you like to contribute to the gravel fund? Now, it's just, there are so many projects within the communities that need the attention.
It's all of our county blacktops and all of our county gravels.
And they may
is
be
what
contributing
consists
to
of
their
secondary
streets of
roads.
their, inside their incorporated areas. Their sewers, their streets, they might be using their money for that as well, that we still drive in and come across.
Yeah, Radcliffe tends, we get 55 grand a year in road use tax, and we generally have to let it sit and then try to use 2 years off once, because 55 grand doesn't get us anything. No, sir.
So you're taking additional funds from unincorporated areas, but not incorporated areas that require secondary road use too?
We are, that's what Renee said. I can give you those numbers. That's a general fund, that's everybody.
Everybody in the county pays the general fund levy.
Right.
City residents, rural residents.
Right.
The rural fund levy, only those people that live outside of the incorporated areas pays that.
But people who live inside incorporated areas don't.
They still have city.
They just pay
And road
the-
use.
In which we live.
And fuel road use tax.
About-
the more you
about-
drive, the more you pay.
About 2/3 of his total budget comes from road use tax, meaning you put fuel in,
Fuel,
you pay
gas.
your fuel tax, and he gets that back. However, the state wants to
You
allocate
could be
that back.
fueling up in, Dubuque, and I'd still get that money.
So it's a user's fee.
Right.
I don't think in Dubuque. Okay, so if, and this is a question that comes from a different direction. If, using her little thoughts and diagrams, damn, she knows a lot. But if property taxes went up, would it go up for everybody in Hardin County?
We're
or
only-
just rural areas?
Just the rural areas.
This only affects the unincorporated, the rural areas, this tax relief. The cities use theirs as they choose.
And the way I understood that, it wouldn't be equal. The more value you have, the more discount you'd have by the tax relief. If you only own 5,000 worth of ground, you're not getting as much as a guy that has a $2 million house.
Right.
Right.
Right. Of course, the CSR value has an effect on it too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have 5 acres with a high CSR value, get taxed a lot more than 5 acres of swampland.
Right.
Right.
And that's not how, we're just dealing with total dollars here.
Right.
In the unincorporated areas, currently 80% of that money is being thrown into tax relief. Now, if you were to take half of that out, I listened to you, 40%.
Thank you. I'm glad you listened.
And utilize the 40%, then that total amount cuts in half, and then we would have to tax for the difference.
But by the way, that was your first suggestion. I listened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're back on that one. But, so if you were to do that, then yes, you don't get rock for free. Somebody's paying for it. Or bridges or culverts, but it's a tool used to help secondary roads who are falling farther behind annually.
Thanks, Dave.
My concern is if it goes on the ballot and it passes, then property taxes will go up. I know of people in this county, rural people, who are shoestringing it now, some less than shoestrings. On the other hand, if it doesn't pass, what we get is, well, you voted it down, so you don't really want it.
And we have
This
more
is
bridges
my
that will
concern.
probably be, or possibly be closed because they can't get repaired or replaced or whatever. I mean, things like that are gonna start happening
He's already
if we
presented
can't. Right.
closing bridges.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When they're done, we're not rebuilding. He's already mentioned that. He hasn't.
Well, instead of a bridge, be a culvert.
No.
What if it's over that
Open
river,
creek.
though, you know?
Well, now, honey, that's your problem.
No, it's
You're the big
it's
boy
the
in those
county's
bridges.
it's the county's problem, and that's what we're trying to do is get our roads back up
I
to
don't
snuff.
want to have to close any bridges. We
Right.
don't want to do that.
And nobody wants you to either. So, whether it's the taxpayer or you, I mean, yeah, nobody wants to close roads due to bridges. And you can go down south of Eldora and ask them about it, because how long were a couple bridges down there closed? So, so this would give Taylor more dollars towards fixing bridges
Job security,
and
Rob.
more gravel and more upkeep to even paved roads.
It'll get your project a little quicker.
But it's all up to the taxpayers. If the taxpayers vote it down, it doesn't happen. If they think it's worth paying maybe a few dollars more or $100 more on their farm taxes to get more gravel and better bridges, and they vote for it, fine. It's an election thing. It's not something that, we're just deciding what
option.
wording to put on the ballot, and the voters will decide, and then we just
So you have
live
to
by
sell
what
it
they
to the
vote.
voters, correct?
No.
I really don't
We
have
what?
to sell it at all.
Yeah.
No,
But you have to.
We have to put it out there. Otherwise, there's
Put it out there, possible ways so you try and get these people
Well, just only through news releases or something. If the newspapers want to,
Their roads.
if the newspapers want to put that in the paper and come talk to us,
I mean, you gotta.
I mean, we can just tell them what we plan to use the money for. Yeah.
So then that lost, what you're calling that lost fund allocation, then does that, well, she had those three things up there, the 80% and
Yes.
10 and
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
So then you're lost. What does that come out of then, the 80?
Yeah.
The lost is the total
Lost
dollar amount.
is the total local option sales tax. That's the 100% of the money. And we want to take, currently it's at 10% goes to economic development, 10% goes to capital improvements, which leaves 80%. And that's currently going for property tax relief. So I don't know what anybody else is thinking. I'm thinking we can leave the 10 and the 10 the same, and we would just take that 80% of tax relief and split some of that out to go to purchase more rock or fix bridges.
How much of that 80? Because
That's what we need to discuss. That's what we're trying to discuss here.
Pauline, I guess the easiest answer is in year 14-15, it was about $715,000 total. 80% of that would have been whatever number it was. In 15-16, it changed to $691,000. In 16-17, it changed to $725,000. Last year was $730,000. So to answer your question, the estimated amount for this year is $786,000. So it'd be a percent of those numbers.
But then she's also got to fill that other pot over there.
Right.
Too, so.
Which could be filled in numerous ways. It could be filled by just taxing the difference. It could be filled by not spending as much in the rural services on other things that we have. It could be filled by, instead of giving 100% to secondary roads, we only give 75%, which is the minimum the state has to give. It all depends on that. I don't see the secondary roads one coming. In some cases, maybe IRVM is 100% out of rural services. If they've got all the equipment purchase needed, there's $100,000 right there that we don't have to tax for next year, or $200,000, depending on what the number is.
Yeah, but we're playing iffy games here.
Well, I can't answer your question. I'm just giving you scenarios.
Yeah, I know, but that's.
Examples.
They're examples.
Yeah, worst case scenario, we do everything the same this year and that number taxes more.
Because we don't really know. And
Julie.
that's what she was saying, basically, how's she gonna fill that pot? Because you never.
You replace it with tax dollars.
No.
Or,
I wish she was here to answer.
and that total amount,
Right. Okay, here's the thing. This just came up, what, a couple of weeks ago, and how soon does this have to be decided to
Today.
get on to the, you know what? Maybe we should have, maybe that discussion should have been brought up a long time.
I did not know the discussion was going to end up like this either.
So there could have been, the public would know more about what's going on because obviously there's differences in this courthouse. I believe that perhaps it shouldn't be put on the ballot until things are clarified to the public so they know exactly.
We have from now till November to get it out to the public.
But
That's not enough time.
yeah, it's gonna, that's gonna be a really busy time. People are gonna be getting a whole lot of information about the election, all that stuff. I think you shouldn't consider it, putting it on this ballot.
I think we can make our decision here. We can make our decision here in about 5 minutes or less.
And then it'll be on
And
the
then
ballot.
we can,
People don't understand.
and then we can get the information out. If they vote it up, they vote it down, we can always run it again in 2 years. But this, it can only be run with a general election or a special election, and I don't want to spend the money on a special election.
Well, no, that would be foolish, but why just have this short amount of time, have this discussion, it's a confusing issue, and then just, well, we gotta do it.
And I think the people in the rural area, the farmers, they voted on this before at the county level. They voted on this when it originally went in. And then if it was changed
4 years ago.
4 years ago, they understand it. I mean, Pauline, that pot has to be filled with either property tax dollars or local option sales tax relief. One or the other, and both together, fill that pot. If you lower one, the other one's going to go up. That's it in a bucket, as far as explaining that bucket. So yes, if we take property tax dollars relief and decrease that, taxes will probably go up. But like Lance said, maybe we're not going to be spending as much in IRVM for equipment, or maybe there's things that maybe this local option sales tax money can pay for some things that Taylor is maybe not going to have to spend all of what he gets, and he'll have that to carry over. It's all a what-if situation. We can't predict all of those things at this point in time. All we can do is set the percentages of what we're going to propose that it be used for. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And then life will go on.
Well, if there's extra money left in that pot, can't we allocate it to Taylor?
It is our, that's what we do. Yes.
Oh, okay, so why do we need it on the ballot right now? Because for one thing,
well, we can't at this point.
Take a cut right now with the way everything's going. So why?
If they don't want it, they can vote no. If they don't want it, they can vote no, and it stays the way it is.
I just think now is too short of a time, even with like people that just have land, like maybe there's a lot of people just like ourselves, you know, that just have land and, you know, are not farmers, that are not gonna, it's too short a time that are not gonna get this information like out. I mean,
Well, what more information do you need in order?
Newspapers that are not gonna get this.
Are you going to get this, Rob?
Like I said, they've voted on it twice already. I think
okay.
they understand.
No,
If they
no, but you'll
don't
put the
understand,
information
believe me,
out,
they'll
just the
call
facts.
us. They will call us and say, what the heck are you doing? And we can explain it. And
Because a sample ballot is put out.
yes.
How early?
I don't know exactly.
6 weeks before.
Okay.
Something like that.
And believe me, I would imagine Rob and Justin are probably both going to do a minimum of one article, and probably more as the election gets closer, to explain what this does and what it is and their option. And like Taylor said, it'll also be a picture of the ballot in the paper. They'll read it, and then they vote yes or no. If they don't understand it, they can vote no. Or they don't have to vote at all. So, on the question, so.
So, does the board have a proposed number they'd like to move forward with for a ballot measure question?
I would like a 40% property tax relief in the unincorporated area, 40% for maintenance, repair, construction of Hardin County secondary roads, bridges, drainage structures, excluding labor, equipments, and tools, 10% for capital improvements, maintenance, and equipment, 10% for economic development and community betterment, and other lawful purposes of county-related.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing
I think
none.
we have that.
Go ahead.
I think we've had plenty of
I
discussion.
Okay.
think we have two.
All right. Nancy?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item I have is the federal aid agreement for a federal recreational trails program project.
This is the application for the federal rec trails program. It's in the dollar amount of $247,000 that this application had been filed in the fall of 2016, and it's being awarded. And what it's for is to complete the 7 bridges and a culvert from Steamboat Rock to the South Fork River, not including that bridge. It also includes an evaluation report of the 4 remaining bridges from the South Fork to Union. If approved, or once approved, it's hoped that the work can begin this fall, and in order to have specs and bids out for next spring to work, or for work to start in the summer. If all goes well, the goal is to have the trail open in the rough to pedestrian and snowmobiles by the fall and winter of 2019.
Okay, thank you.
So I would make a motion to approve the Iowa Department of Transportation Federal Aid Agreement for a Federal Recreations Trail Program project in the amount of $247,000.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next I have is acknowledge a receipt of the DNR determination from the Mites Home Finisher Farm Site, Section 24, Clay Township. Jessica Sheridan, do you have anything to add? Okay.
It's met the legal criteria. I'll move to acknowledge receipt of DNR determination, Mites Home Finisher Farm Site, Section 24 of Clay Township.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next I have is change of status forms from the IRVM department. I have a couple seasonal people leaving and a hiring.
I'll make a motion to approve the employee change of status for Lily Keys. She's an IRVM intern at $11 an hour. This is effective August 24th of 18, and she has been and will remain temporary seasonal part-time help on an as-needed basis.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. And we have a change of status. I'd make a motion to approve for Samuel Romig, effective August 24th of 18. He's also an IRVM intern at $11 an hour, and he is he's a temporary seasonal part-time employee and will be discharged due to end of the season.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And I will make a motion to approve the employee change of status for Luke Davison. He's a roadside vegetation specialist, being hired at $15.45 an hour as permanent part-time help.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next item we have is the updated 28E agreement with Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Center.
This is one we do at the detention center. It passes through there. We've added more counties to the detention center. It was Buchanan, Dubuque, Worth, and Crawford. And it has already passed through the detention center. Now they send this to every county itself to be passed or voted down as part of their bylaws.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the Central Iowa Detention Center 28E agreement.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item I have is consider naming a union negotiator for secondary roads union contracts and the sheriff's union contracts.
We've been using Paul Groove over the course of 4 years or longer. I don't recall how many years he's been here.
He's been here all 4 years I've been here.
So
it's been more than that.
More than 4 years. I have had no issues with him as far as union negotiations go. But currently, we are also using Eilers & Cooley as an HR firm, and I know it was mentioned of where if you can utilize your HR firm and your union negotiations together.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm open to any.
We can't hear you back
Okay.
here at all.
I'm sorry. Currently, we've used Paul Groove for over 4 years. Groove and Associates. Eilers & Cooley is now an HR firm. They also provide the same services. It's just who are we going to use? Union starts.
Okay. I've reached out to the 2 department heads that oversee the unions, and they would like to use a single source and utilize Eilers & Cooley for both. So I'm going to respect their opinions going forward.
I would make a motion then to approve Eilers & Cooley for union negotiations.
I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next I have is a single homestead and military credits that to be disallowed. The one provided is for Catherine Pafford. Upon examination, the assessor's office provided that the landowner does not have or did not include a DD 214 form with their credit application.
I would make a motion to disallow the disabled veteran homestead tax credit for 2018 as presented.
Second.
Okay.
Not just for one person or for the whole?
One person.
There's only one presented.
Yeah, there wasn't anything we could look at, just that.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Other business? Taylor.
Justin, you're going to want to write this one down. So
Big
the
scoop.
Railroad tracks in Iowa Falls going across 65. They will be closed from September 10th through the 14th. That'll be a 5-day. Yeah, right there.
Oh, there?
Yeah, by Country Club Road.
That
Yep.
needs to be fixed.
So that's the DOT's plan. So they're going to use a detour on the east side of town to try to get the trucks. So they're using our roads to get around town right now.
All right.
Say something?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Marla?
So a couple weeks ago, I had requested about adding another NEI
Yes.
to our little group, and I know you guys had some questions on it. So what this is, most of us are paramedics or advanced EMTs or something like that. Of course, this can be opened up to nurses or something like that. Most nurses don't want to do this kind of work. Emergency people are the ones that actually see this all the time, so we're kind of used to it. So that's why I requested Kristen Brady to join our team, because she works a 24/48 shift on the ambulance. And
Okay.
so she has daytime availability, a little bit more than like me working full-time or something.
Sure.
That's what we're kind of looking at, is trying to add some of those people that have a little bit more flexibility in their jobs. And the reason we need to bring them on now, they go to the class within like 3 years or something. Amber hasn't even went to the class yet. You know, we're working on getting her in there. You want to make sure that the people that start doing it are comfortable doing it after they've seen a few.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, you know, I don't want to do this, and you've spent $1,200 or $2,200 to send them to St. Louis, and now they don't like it. So we bring them on, they do some training with me, I bring them to calls, and they learn the procedures and what the state says you have to do, and they start doing it on their own, and then within the 3-year time period or so, then they'll go to St. Louis and do some training.
Okay.
So that's the information.
Right. Is there any chance that we need to look at taking it, candidate applications. I know I talked to Dave about this. You know, not that death is predictable, and it's never at 3 in the afternoon. It's never at, you know, 8 at night. And so I'm wondering, do we want to start some type of recruitment to get a couple people? Because
and what the state says is you don't want to have a lot of people doing it, because like right now we're on death number 16 of the year. Well, if I only do one a year, I'm not going to be very good at it.
Yeah,
so that's why
proficiency.
you don't want to have a large amount.
Right.
But keeping, you know, 3 to 4 people available for those kind of
Okay.
things keeps people good on their skills.
Okay.
Plus, the state also says that they want you working towards, what is that, certification, death.
Meteorological death investigator.
Yeah, which I don't think anybody here in the state or in our county would be able to even accomplish.
Yeah.
Because it's, I want to say it's like 600 calls.
Oh.
And, you know, I'm not even
Yeah.
close to that. I think I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, we will never be able to
Okay.
accomplish that kind of thing. But it's just to be able to have that availability. You know, if you start taking applications, it's not paid much.
Right.
You know, it's, you have to have a job that you can leave. You know, I mean, they call me during the day and I run home from Waterloo or something.
Right.
So we kind of look for people that we know and we can trust. They're going to people's houses. You know, it's probably not a bad idea to have background checks on all of this
Right.
too.
Probably.
But, you know, we try and look for people that have that common thing. And,
Okay.
you know, we try and look for some locations and get them in different areas, but that gets to be very difficult if people have an availability. They have to have the medical knowledge. You have to be able to spread that knowledge to the doctor and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing, and this is what I think it is. You know, what are your thoughts? And that's how we work together.
Okay.
Okay.
Because there's really no policy for vetting or anything. It's fairly casual, so I don't know if...
Usually we have a law enforcement officer
Yeah.
with us.
Right.
But there have been times where you guys have been called out.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there alone. You may be there 8 hours, you could be there 2 hours. I've sat 2 hours waiting on a crematorium to show
Right.
up, sitting there by myself, because I have to stay in the body the whole
Right.
time. So it would be a good idea to have proper
Okay.
background checks and stuff too.
Okay.
Already background checks required? I hope. Really? Should be. Well, they should be.
But the only thing is, when we're using like a medical personnel, we've all had background checks.
Yeah.
You know,
But I
so-
mean, for you guys, the people that you hire that are.
Right.
There's background checks for you guys, right?
No.
No?
No. But what I'm saying is, most of us that do it right now, we've all had background checks with our current jobs because of EMS. Because I'm a paramedic.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
But the
Okay.
state or the county doesn't have records of those, so that would be a good idea.
All right. Thank you for
And
bringing
we-
it, everything to light.
And we probably need to get that back on our
Yeah.
agenda then.
Okay.
Okay.
At least one, possibly, you know, if you're interested, maybe I've got another person that was interested.
Okay.
And has a lot of availability
All right.
too, so.
Okay. So we can maybe put that back on our agenda for next week then.
We do have one that, like I said, he hasn't been on a call. He did one last year. It doesn't hardly go on any calls. So I would
Okay.
recommend replacing him.
Okay.
With possibly a fourth person.
Okay.
Sounds good. Anything else? Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.